Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Follow Everton. I'm Ryan, the channel host and admin, and I've got John, the lovely John, with me, Jonathan, to talk very briefly about Everton versus Manchester United. Obviously, I can't not ask Jonathan how he's feeling right now and for his very brief thoughts on the recent game at Burnley, which Everton somehow managed to lose despite being 2-1 up at half time and having been gifted two penalties against a Burnley side which had only scored, only won 3 games all season and had actually hadn't scored in the last 5 fixtures. So, John, very briefly, how are you feeling in the aftermath of that game? And
I mean, it's gutting, really. It's very hard to try and stay positive. Obviously, Burnley haven't scored in 400 minutes of football, and the first thing we do is concede to them, not only just once, but 3 times in the end. Obviously, their middle goal and their final goal were pretty similar. Obviously, one was a bit of nice football to get past our defence, but the finish is the same. It's a very lacking of organisation in the box. And funnily enough, well, not funny, but before the first corner, I was saying that there's no organisation, there's no control, and
no one talking, no
no one
leaders.
knows where each other are. Everyone's getting drawn into the ball and not looking up and watching where the runs are being made or where our own teammates are, and it just causes gaps to be left. And obviously, we go and concede, and it's very frustrating because that could have actually set us and as a very nice buffer between the teams below us. Whereas now they're right on our heels, and obviously our remaining fixtures are so difficult, and it's looking so hard to get points out of any of them because even when we do bottle it, we were 2-1 up. All we had to do was stick 11 men behind the ball and see out the game. That's all we needed to do. But we can't score goals. We can only score from penalties. We haven't scored from open play, and we can't even defend the lead we have because I said Michael Keane's he's made some very crucial errors that have led to goals being conceded. But it's not even just him. It's without fail, it's always someone on the pitch who is going to make that mistake. There's no ability from the players
And you
to
don't
see
normally
out a
see
game.
that. You don't normally see so many individual errors in any side across the
It's
course of a
shocking. It's
season.
shocking, and that's the kind of level where we're at. And even if we do go down, which is it's now looking likely and very worrying, which is why it's so hard to stay positive. But I think we're really going to struggle to come back up as well because our quality just isn't there, and we've been getting poorer and poorer for every season that goes past. Whereas every other team around us in our opposition that we used to look down and used to be an easy win, like Palace or Newcastle or Southampton, all these teams have improved and got their shit together, and
Yeah.
we just keep falling through the cracks.
You're right there, John. And I think there is a lack of leadership, certainly in defence. And it worries me how little communication there is between our defence and our midfield. I think there's a lot of goals that can be avoided by people actually talking to each other on the pitch. And certainly the set
Absolutely.
piece, really all 3 goals are avoidable. As someone has to tell Decore not to make that run past Calvert-Lewin whilst he hasn't got control of the ball, leaving a lot of space for us to be exploited. And that third goal to mark up from the set piece, but obviously you can't account for the individual errors. I do agree with you
I would,
about go down. I think we're going to struggle to come back up because there'll be a financial black hole in terms of a lot of players that are decent, in terms of the reputation. Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, Pickford, and several others, to be fair, will go on to bigger clubs. Not necessarily bigger clubs, but they'll go to successful clubs or clubs competing for something and doing well. And they won't batter an eyelid really over the period of time. And we'll be left with the dross on high salaries we can't get rid of, and administration. Potentially, I don't know how things could work, but huge amounts of money being paid for these players, and really no way of getting rid of
any
them and
any team that
less
is
income.
fighting relegation needs to be able to sit back and defend. I don't care whether we score 0 or 100 goals. We need to be able to defend, either hold the lead or fight out for a draw. There are games, for example, against West Ham, where that would have been a very good result and a nice point to add to our tally. But we bottle it and we go and concede. Against Burnley, we would have had all 3 points in a 6 point game against a team that is fighting for their life as well, and we've just let them back
Yeah,
into the race. And you know what? They've got easier fixtures than us and could easily snag some more
And they've
points.
got more
Whereas I
fight than
really
us.
struggle to see. Exactly. They have what they need to survive. Whereas our team can't go and score goals. They can't defend the lead or fight for a
We've
draw.
got a lot
There's
of
no
players who've been relegated
determination.
before, John.
What was that, sorry?
We've got a lot of players who've been relegated before, and Pickford and Michael Keane, Ben Godfrey,
But it's interesting that you mentioned those players because they're all
Richarlison,
actually English players as
Decore.
well. But none of those players that are going to get if we get relegated, none of them will be selected to play for England as well. So surely they need to find the fight for themselves, not only just the team. Because if they go down, then they're not going to get selected for the England squad. And yeah, I'm sure they'll move on to different clubs, but it's abysmal. The approach they have for the game, they're not switched on. No one's communicating, and it's leading to very simple errors, which you and I could sort out ourselves if we were playing. It is basic things which they are messing up on, such as communication,
Yeah,
positioning, and organization. We're lacking the leadership right now,
it's an
and
absolute mess.
it
Um,
is. It's a horror show.
John, I could sit with you for an hour, but unfortunately, I've got a wedding at 7:30 that I'm performing at, so I have to get moving very soon. But I just want to ask you about Man United. Obviously, Man United are like us in a way that they are underachieving and they've spent a lot of money as well. And there is the vulnerability there that they could be to have an off day. You know, they do have a lot of off days, and mentally, I don't think they're quite the level they should be, as well as, you know, performance wise. Goodison crowd, Saturday early kickoff doesn't really do much for me. In terms of, it would be better if it was a night game. For some reason, they've put it same time as the Grand National. But can I ask you, the approach for Man United, is this a must-win, all-out attack game, or is this a pragmatic approach and think about, well, if we could get a point from this game, you know, a point overall? Because we really should be sitting on 4 points from the last two games. A draw at West Ham, we were worth, and a win at Burnley, I think, with the better team overall. But we made criminal individual errors. So Burnley are shit. You know, there's no two ways about it. They're not a good footballing
So are
team.
we.
We're shit, if not shitter. But we
We're
shouldn't
another
be.
level.
We shouldn't be with the
Yeah, we
players.
shouldn't.
Shouldn't be. But I want to ask you about United. How do we approach the game? And then I
I
want to get
think
your
we
team
set up
news.
shop to see the game. I don't care what we're doing. I want to see fight and determination and get every man behind the ball. And occasion there will be chances in 90 minutes for you to be able to run forward and catch them lacking on the break. And we can go and maybe grab a goal. But I want to see us without the stupid mistakes and all these crucial errors that lead us to be kicked out the game instantly. I want to see us switched on from the get-go, and I want to see us be able to defend a 0-0 well into deep into the game, and then maybe go and nick a goal, and then sit back and have
I
it.
mean, it
But
shouldn't come to
as that
this, but
comment just said, every single game we need to fight for. There's no games where, oh, you know what, we're playing Man City, they're a very good team, we're probably going to lose anyway. It doesn't matter. There is no game like that. Every single game is crucial to us surviving, or we will be going down.
can I ask you about, obviously, the team news and formation? Van der Beek suspended, but Alan is back. Michael Keane is back, and a couple of others. Fabian Delph is fully fit. So you're getting close to full fit squad in terms of, you're not getting Townsend back, Patterson. They're out for the season. Yerry Mina will be back for the Leicester game, and I think that will be the turning point for us, where if we are going to stay up and get some points, it will be with Mina back, because he will transform that defence if he can stay fit. But
I
for
think I'd
this
rather
fixture,
Michael Keane be suspended for another game, to be honest.
what would you do in terms of the team finally? Because obviously we have to go in a moment. I'm really sorry, guys. It's so short, but needs must,
I
unfortunately. We
think
wanted to put something out.
I think Decore recently, especially last game, I think he was actually lacking. At the beginning of the season, he was a very strong player, going forward and also coming back and helping out in defence. And I think he's just been lacking. I think some of the players need to understand that their positioning is quite poor. And if they're in defence, and they're not paying attention to the run of play and where the other players are, it leaves us very open and weak. But also going forward, the passing has been abysmal recently. Iwobi's passing, he
There's
can
no
only complete a very
creativity.
short pass. Yeah, it's so
Everyone switches
poor and
off.
backwards playing. We could have a corner and it'll go back to Pickford, and then it'll lump the ball out for a throw under pressure. or if we're going forward, the ball goes straight towards the player, and there's no through ball. There's no pushing it onto the run. And I think
We've
that's the
lost the
problem
three
because
playmakers.
we play so slowly, and there's no actual commitment to going forward. And they're passing sideways or backwards. They need to introduce pace that we have, because some players have got a lot of natural pace, but they're not using it. So we need to get forward and actually beat them, because we're just giving them time to get back. So I want to
We've
see us
got pace.
actually, but
Unfortunately,
they don't use it.
we've lost the three players who can actually pass the ball: Sigurdsson, James Rodriguez, and Luca Dean.
They're all
John,
the
obviously,
creative
yeah,
players that we're
exactly.
lacking.
Anyone who can
Yeah.
cross a decent ball. We haven't got anyone who can pass a decent, make a decent pass, and anyone who can cross a decent ball, and no one who can take a corner or a set piece. It's
I
horrendous.
want to see
Lost
Gray
a big
on the wing
aspect of our
be
game.
able to move forward quickly with pace, and then I want to see him put a good ball in. And I don't want to just have Richarlison and Calvert, because usually Richarlison is so focused, he does the hard work and gets around the players and gets to the box in a position to shoot, but then the shot doesn't come off or it goes wide or something. I want to see other players being able to do that work and getting in, and I want to have two strikers in the box ready to have the ball either headed in or shot, because Calvert-Lewin's
The
positioning
delivery's
has
got
been
to be
pretty
good,
poor,
though.
and it does, but I think Gray can do that. And I want to see other players take that more
Playing
forward
in the
role
wrong
and
areas,
stepping
John.
in. They are.
Amari
And
Gray is,
Calvert-Lewin's positioning was poor. He wasn't in the
yeah.
right place, which means he couldn't finish anything. And the fact that there are no other players with this creative work, so Richarlison has to do the work, and he does well at it, but then he's not in the box to be able to finish the shot, which is where we need it. So I want to see Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison both in the box, ready to have that ball come in and both get a shot off. And I want to see other players like Gray being able to whip the ball in. And I want to see Mikalenko be able to do it as well. But his delivery's been pretty poor as well. And Gordon, they need
John,
better delivery.
They've all got a weak delivery, unfortunately. There's no
They
one who can
do,
cross the
but
ball.
this is the problem. We haven't got that delivery
So,
coming into the box.
so you go with the two strikers up front, and then you've got no one who can deliver the ball. So it all becomes a little bit redundant, unfortunately. If you had any,
this is what players need to work on and be able.
But we're going to play. We're going to play on the counter attack. I'm really sorry, John. I've got to wrap things up in a minute. I am ready to go and I'm pushing it really fine. I could sit and talk to you for an hour. I know I'm trying to nudge you along on different topics, but I really want to pickle your brains. Unfortunately, I just can't do it right now.
Well, hopefully when we beat United 5-0, we can discuss it all on the post-game analysis.
Can I very quickly get your team, please?
You can. I'm a bit lacking on the injuries, because it's just so depressing to think about every time I get into it.
Allen and Keane are back. Gomez is out.
Allen and Keane are back.
If you don't know, then I'll do it.
Keane is very, very... I don't want to play him, but again, he sort of has the leadership role. He might be weaker himself, but he might be able to try and organise something. But it's so lackluster at the back. Everyone just needs to put a shift in and pull their finger out and actually focus on not making the simple errors. If we can get a solid defence in, I liked how Branthwaite played, so I might give him another run in. And I think Holgate's a bit of a tricky one, because he's so aggressive, and then it kind of puts him on the back foot. Because if he gets a booking so early on, if we get another red, then we're kind of in the shit even more. I would like to see Allen back in. I think he has a lot of fight and determination. I think Decore needs to buck up his ideas, because he's been lacking very strongly recently. I would play Gray on the wing, because I think he is sensational and he has a lot of pace that we need to use. And Dele Alli can sit at home and watch the game. He's done nothing for us so far. It's painful. We've been robbed by Spurs. Oh,
I know. They don't let anyone go if they're any good. Genuinely, he's a Macta technician. I'm really sorry, guys. Thank you for watching, John. Thanks for coming on very, very briefly. I know I could sit here, as I say, I could sit here for an hour and really, really have an inquest with you over the Burnley game, and also really in-depth look at Man United. I think Man United will come to Goodison. They'll know Everton mentally weak. The fans are going to get on their back if things don't go their way. They're going to come at us. They're going to push us. Everton have got to stay strong in those periods of the game. Try and get through the match as best as they can. Try and exploit United's overcommitting of players and weaknesses on the counter-attack with pace. get Damari Gray and Gordon in the right areas rather than dropping
Yeah,
into
absolutely.
silly holes to try and beat three people and then do nothing, and try and get some productivity from fullback. And if it isn't there, play the four centre backs along the back four, with Holgate right back, Michael Keane and Branthwaite and Godfrey left back, and shore up shop and try and get something on the counter attack. John, pleasure as always. I'm really sorry I
Pleasure.
have to go. I will be
No
late
worries.
otherwise. Guys,
Enjoy the
see you
game,
soon.
everyone.
Make sure you
Have
like
a
and
good one.
subscribe. Thank you.